Well, you're right. I'm going to quote you again. Among the many factors which influence male-female economic differences, the most elusive is employer discrimination.
Yes, that when you correct for all the various factors, such as the number of hours worked, the continuous employment versus taking a few years out to have children and so on. You take all that into account, the differences between men and women become quite trivial. If you look at the academic world, or as far back as 1969, women who were never married and who had earned higher incomes than men who had never married. They became a tenured professor at a higher rate than men who had never married. And then later on, if you look at the general population, if you take the women who are past the childbearing years and who work continuously, their incomes were higher than men who would work continuously and so on. So the difference is that not that the employer is paying them differently, but that they have different characteristics.
So the central variable in explaining economic differences between men and women is not employer discrimination, not the rise of feminism. It's that women, it's child rearing, marriage and child rearing. That's the
Yes.
variable. As that varies, a women's arrival or participation rate in high-level occupations varies with that. That's the
Absolutely.
correlation. Okay. Now, in principle, you note, family responsibilities could be perfectly evenly divided between fathers and mothers. But that isn't the way it has worked in practice. Quote, I'm quoting you again, since economic consequences follow from practices rather than principles, the asymmetrical division of domestic responsibilities produces male-female differences in income, close quote. Question, what are the policy implications of that? If we become fixed on eliminating male-female income differences, is it the case that the only choice, the only route for doing that is to involve the government in redesigning the very nature of the family?
Well,
Or am I leaping to a melodramatic conclusion?
no. Yeah, and logically that's certainly true. However, not all domestic responsibilities can be shared equally, such as having babies, which is not an inconsequential thing since the existence of the human race depends on it. But what it means is that women make choices that make a lot of sense for them. For example, the choice of occupations, that women tend not to go into occupations in which there's a very high rate of obsolescence. I mean, and if you're a computer engineer and you take 5 years out to have a child and have the child up to the age where you can put him in daycare, well, my gosh, the world has changed.
Your job is gone.
You'd have to start way back. On the other hand, if you become a librarian, you become a teacher, other occupations like that, then you can take your 5 years off, come back, and pick up pretty much where you left off.
Right.
Yep. So that is a very, very distilled and just super poignant point. I could have said that better. But when you account for all the variations, right? And this is the thing where it's like it's just very easy to get somebody emotional and all hopped up on a number. The fact is, what is it, 77 cents, 73 cents? I don't know what the number is that's espoused. All right, let's say it's 73. We'll give them, we'll make it even worse. Right? But what people don't understand is the way statistics work, is that's an aggregate amongst the entire population. So is it true? Yes, it is true. And if that's where the argument needs to end, then I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't, if you're not interested in that statistical data and how that came about, then you're not interested in the argument. You're not interested in a discussion, right? Because the other statistic is true, is that when accounting for child rearing and having never been married, then women and men make the same. Now, here's the thing. The child rearing is, I guess, you could say both of them are choices. Both of them are choices. But it's a choice that many people make. So that should be a factor. And then, again, when you eliminate that, like when you have an individual that made the choice to not have children and to not get married, that those women make the same, if not more, than men. So it's not as simple as saying 77%, 77 cents on the dollar, whatever it is. It's 77 cents of which group, which demographic, which grouping of people. The reason why the 70 cents comes about is because a lot of these women end up having children, end up being married, end up caring for the children. And then during that time period, right, their overall earnings become lower. And that takes the aggregate, if you understand how averages work. If 10 women are making $100,000 a year, and then half of them drop out of the labor force to raise children for a year. In that year, the average is no longer $100,000 a year. The average is now 50, even though those women decided to go raise children, but it brought the entire average down. And I know I may be saying this in a really, childish fashion, but that's kind of where we need to be. We need to just understand these things in a very fundamental level that I can explain it to my little kids. Not to say that these people are children, but I'm just saying that people just don't understand where the 77 comes from. The 77 comes from people, women, in this case, leaving the labor force, raising children, getting married and taking some time off or whatever it is, and lowering the average overall. Right? Kind of makes sense. And the other thing is, towards the end, it also depends upon the career choice. It's no secret that women tend to do jobs that are more about people-oriented jobs, rather than sitting in front of a computer or, whatever job. You guys know what a male-dominated job is. Picking up garbage, whatever it is, right? And you guys know what female-dominated jobs, even though people like to, say, okay, yes, are there exceptions to the rules? Always exceptions to the rule. But we look at a distribution. And what a distribution means is there's an X and Y axis, there's 0 to 100. Where that main hump is on the axis is the majority of people, right? There's always going to be outliers on both ends of the axis. And overall, men do more jobs that have to do with things, physical jobs. And some of those jobs, on the average, make more money. Okay? If you are a nurse, right, you're going to have a very good living. You may not make as much as a civil engineer. Civil engineers are typically men. That's just it. There's nothing against women going into that career. I know women that are in that career. However, on the whole, it's a men-dominated career. That career makes more money than on the average nurse. So there you go. That's just the way these things shape out. The fact that we always jump to discrimination as this is why. No, it's not why. It's not why. That's used to divide us. That's propaganda that's used to divide us. It's used to put a wedge between people and ideas, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Because in the end, then we can't have a discussion on how to fix things, right? If the answer is, well, because this person is racist, or because this person is sexist or misogynist or xenophobic or whatever, all right, the discussion's over then. Now we can have a discussion on what the actual issue is. If you want more women to be engineers, and you want to offer that to them as an option, okay, we can have that discussion. We can talk about it. But if you're going to call me a freaking sexist because of 77 cents on the dollar, then people don't understand. These things are used to shut down debate, to shut down discussion, to shut down an argument. And that's what we need to have. We need to talk these things out, because we can get through to the other side where we can have better information, better arguments, better discussions. Where you can sit down with a Thomas Sowell and explain to him your point of view and hash it out, and maybe actually get him to eke towards your side a little bit. That can happen, but it can only happen if we're coming to the table understanding that one side thinks the other side is evil, and that's not good. That doesn't help. You can't have a debate with somebody that you think is there with ill intent and just not a good person and an evil person. So we have to get past that. And then once we do, we can all sit down and we can tell you, explain to you guys why 77 cents on the dollar is just total nonsense. Guys, thanks a lot for coming out. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a subscribe. Having a lot of fun. We'll see you again real soon. Thank you.